Hi, and it's welcome to Radio FM88 Australia, streaming live through whatever Facebook site you've happened to come on right at this very moment. Those are in the Springwood, Logan City area. You can listen free to air on Radio FM88. You can listen to from the website. You can download the app. And last week she was sitting above me. Now she's sitting below me. That's my good mate, co-host Julia Chai. There you go. She's way over there. And of course, last week we had a really interesting conversation with Damien Douglas from Australian Alien Community. And he touched on a subject that immediately we realised we needed these two ladies to come into the studios tonight. 7 o'clock, of course, Queensland time, 8 o'clock in New South Wales and Queensland, ACT and Tassie. And of course, it's 10 o'clock in New Zealand for all our Kiwi brothers. And 9 o'clock in the morning over there for our UK brethren who continue to watch the show. So, where are we going to go with this, Jeff? I have no idea. It's part of the Ghostbusters. Boom, boom, use the force. So, Jules, do you want to take over? Julie?
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us on the show. And thank you very much to mother and daughter team, Helen Rees and Dr. Julie Rees. Welcome onto the show. We're excited about you talking to us about Psychic Skills 101. What is possible when humans train their mind to become a channel for spirit and healing forces? Lots of stories about Ghostbusters. So, Helen, I'll start off with you because, of course, you and I know each other, having worked together in workshops.
We certainly have.
Helen's a minister for the Spiritual Church in Brisbane, which, by the way, for our UK fans, was visited by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, my absolutely favourite author of Sherlock Holmes. And Helen is a trance healer, spiritual and psychic medium. And her daughter, Dr. Julie Rees, with us, is an artist writer and is connected to spirit her whole life. So I think we'll start with mother, Helen Rees, today. Welcome, and just tell us sort of when's the first time you realized that or decided that you might want to become a channel for spirit and healing forces?
Well, I guess when I think back, the first episode that I can clearly remember, I was probably in my 30s, early 30s. And at that time, my mother-in-law was quite ill. And I was travelling to work in Melbourne at the time. And what happened was I was on the tram tracks. I wanted to get off them. And all of a sudden, there was a car. I could clearly see a gentleman in there. And I swerved because I thought, you know, as you do when you're driving down a busy main street. It was St Kilda Road. So it's a very busy road. Anyway, when I looked again, there was no one there. So I just about had heart failure at that time, seeing someone right there in front of me. And that was the beginning of seeing spirit around. Now, my mother-in-law got very ill, but I'm a bit of a humorist. And when I got to work, I started telling the others and then I got a bit of a reputation. So that's where the journey started. And I would say that was quite a long time ago. So back in the 80s. Before that, I can't really remember much. All I know that is that my mum was quite psychic, although she never really used it at that time. So the journey started from there. And when my mother-in-law got very ill, she it's a story that she had a Catholic priest come over. And at that time, it's probably a story that's quite unusual to hear, but he actually levitated her sister. And it was a very strange event, really, to see that.
Why was he doing that?
He came to do healing.
Right.
He came to do healing on my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
She had cancer through her body, unfortunately. So, but it was just quite an amazing story to see that happen. And so at that time, Julie was quite young, and it was that I believe that was a catalyst for when I really started. And although I never got into it until we came to Queensland.
So, and yeah, I mean, that would be quite extraordinary, seeing somebody driving a car.
Yeah,
and we all know Melbourne. When you go to Melbourne, everyone says, take care when you turn left, because crossing those tram lines is really hard.
That's right. And it really scared the living daylights out of me. Do you know, it was just so clear. And I didn't know why that appeared. And then when I got to work, I actually got the phone call to say that my mother-in-law was very ill. She rang me. And I believe that was just their way of warning me that things were going to happen.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So that was the very first time. And being able to see them like that was for me, that's where it all started. So then wherever we've been, we've had a lot of spirit entities within our houses, wherever we've been. And Julie and Cheryl would get up during the night and they'd get frightened because they'd bump into somebody. So that's how we grew up. We all grew up in this. Dennis is quite psychic. My husband is quite psychic as well. And he could actually, at the time, he could hear them speak. So even Cheryl is quite, although she prefers not to compete with us. We laugh because she's more psychic. She's amazing. But anyway, we'll leave Cheryl alone because she's got her own little journey to go. But she's fun. She's a lot of fun. But so the girls used to close their doors all the time because they didn't want to meet anybody. And if they wanted to go to the toilet, that was an exercise in not seeing anyone. So that's a story that Julie can continue with because she was the one that used to see them all the time. It never worried me. We lived in a house where the former owner of the house was there, and she came to check up on us all the time. And she liked us, so it was fine to have her around. So just because spirit people are just really just a veil away, and if you just not allow yourself to be fearful, then things connecting with spirit is just such an amazing experience. When you see them and people say, oh, there's so many skeptics out there, but you just have to trust. You have to trust in God. I have to say that because who is God? God is a mind, and the mind is amazing, and we're part of that mind. And when you feel that interconnection of everybody, we are all connected, whether we're here, whether we're in this at Summerland, whether we're somewhere else in the universe. It doesn't matter. We are all connected by mind, and the mind is an amazing thing. And it's just allowing us to open up and be who we truly are and not be fearful, because fear creates all our illnesses, all the aspects of life that can just pull you down when instead you can have a beautiful life. I mean, we all have to learn a lot of lessons. That's why we're here.
I'm glad you bring that up, Helen, because one of the reasons, as Jeff said, is we've got you on the show is because we had Damon Douglas, and some of his listeners were saying they were frightened. We weren't sure whether the entities were ghosts or poltergeists or extraterrestrials. But I know certainly, I don't know about you, Jeff, but the first time I was introduced to the concept that people who are dead can still hear you and are still around, and I was going, what, even when I'm on the toilet? Sexes.
Yeah, well, that's right. I've always said, don't come near me when I'm in the toilet or the shower. Thank you.
I know that's the first idea that freaks you out, and then I sort of realised that they do stay their distance. But let's switch through to Julie. So it sounds like you've been able to see you've naturally been able to see spirit or ghosts ever since you were a kid.
Yep. So I had an interesting childhood. The way I looked at it was I had my day life and then I had my night life. Day life was fine. Go to school, do whatever. Night life was very different. So, because I've always been able to see them, I'd always have visitors. When we were in Melbourne, sort of when I started to really fear it, basically there was these two kids that used to, I'd call it terrorizing, but they were just having fun. If I knew what I knew now, it'd be very different. But I would try and go to sleep before mum and dad went to sleep. And I think, right, I'm going to go to sleep. So at least I'm asleep and I'll wake up in the morning. But what would happen, I'd try and go to sleep. Back in the 80s when, the TV used to turn off at midnight. So I'd have this little TV on and then at midnight it would go shh, like that, the white noise. So real horror movie type scenario I'm playing out. And then I'd be asleep and I'd get a tap on the shoulder.
Oh.
And then I'd wake up and I'd be like, no, I'm not dealing with this. So I'd run to mum and dad's room, jump in the middle, and then I'd pull the blankets over my head and then I'd like slowly bring them down. And then little boy and a girl, probably about my age, were just laughing at me. And this was every night. Absolutely every night, absolutely horrified. So if we fast forward, that's just sort of this, not even the beginning, but where I had to go from there. I don't think I slept a single night until I was 16. And it wasn't till I went for a reading with a lady, her name was Van, who's since passed away quite a few years ago now, but she kind of got me to understand what I was actually going through, because I didn't know why all this was happening because I couldn't hear them. And so I had this reading and I thought, okay, well, I can't just see them because that's ridiculous. I need to be able to hear them so I know what they want. So then I trained myself. Don't even ask me how I trained myself, but I just made a conscious decision that I wanted to hear them. And then I started hearing them. But then my vision, because I didn't want to see them, so then my hearing got turned up and my vision got turned down. I could still see them, but not as I used to see them as you and I. If I was walking down the street, that's how clear that I used to see them. So I trained myself to hear. And that's sort of when I started learning. Basically, by me fearing, I was actually egging everything on because my fears were so heightened. My psychic senses were heightened as well. So I'd be bombarded with all sorts of nonsense, and it wasn't all pleasant things, but there were some good moments too. So the way I sort of divided up, you got your psychic senses and then you've got sort of mediumship. And then I discovered that between the two, the psychic area is more dense. So you'll definitely get more information. You'll just pick up garbage along the way if you don't protect yourself. But then on the mediumship side, I've always spoken to spirit. I learned how to white light myself through my grandmother who passed away. So I would have been about 5 at that time. But even just to explain, so when I was 5, I would cry at night because I missed home so much. So this is not home. And so it's taken me, I'm, a lot older now, obviously, but it's taken me that long to sort of get comfortable with the environment that I'm in, because obviously, there's lots of ups and downs in life, but I wouldn't change it. So I've gained a lot of knowledge from it. So yeah, that's sort of my little life in a nutshell.
So if I can just, a little story of Julie when she was about 2.5. We went on holidays to a place called Tarthara down in New South Wales, and and it was one of those, those V-shaped. They had an attic style bedroom, and you walked up and down. And well, I was with my husband, my father-in-law, and my Dennis's uncle, and Julie and Cheryl were. I put them to bed upstairs because, you know, and then we were just downstairs chatting. Julie trots down the stairs. Mum, Jesus is at the bottom of my bed.
You're in New South Wales. On holiday.
On holiday. So what I had to do, so I went up there and I said, it's all right, love. Don't worry, they'll go away.
He's going drat.
Go to
Yeah,
sleep.
I was really helpful at that time. But it was a spooky house as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the ashtrays downstairs used to go from one end of the table to the other, and we weren't doing anything. It was quite a spooky house, you know. So it's followed us around everywhere. But Julie, she once I sat with her and settled her down, you know, and I said, will you please go away? But, you know, but fear, this is where we talk about fear, because fear creates drama that isn't necessary. Don't be afraid of spirit. Don't be afraid of anything, because frankly, how can they hurt you? They can't hurt you. Only here in mentally, if you allow it, can they hurt you? And so really it's about just accepting who they are, because they're real people.
And accepting who you are.
And accepting who you are as well, because you are. If you can see them, you've obviously got that psychic ability. Everyone has psychic ability, but some are more developed than others. Now, psychic ability can be enhanced in many ways, not just through meditation. If you take drugs, that heightens things, and which becomes more difficult, because then mentally you get attacked, and it's how strong you are. So that's why I never advocate drugs, because drugs can just create so much trauma for yourselves that it's really you have to, if you want to have a real good life, start meditating, because when you do that, then you can get the balance in your life, and you can do some amazing things as well, because you're trusting and you're accepting. I say start meditating from an early age.
Okay, we get that, but let's just track back to knowing who you are and what you can do, and why on earth all these ghosts or spirit. I'm not sure about the definition between why they want to be hanging out with you, and I can imagine you, because I have friends who are psychic, and it's like any lost ghost around, like the neighborhood, 300 miles will all be at their house, because no other normal humans can hear or feel or sense them. But before we go on to that thread, I just want to check back to Jeff. So Jeff, can you actually see ghosts, like people in spirit? I'm not talking ascended masters or Merlins or people from Pleiades. I'm talking just lovely people like you and me who just don't have a body anymore.
Well, we've got a lady sitting in the studio who's called Clairine. It's a great story to talk about there. I mean, I'm not too sure if she's prepared to speak up about it, but
No.
that's a no. But I think she would attest the fact that she would be sitting in the studio if something fortuitous hadn't taken place, and it was just a series of deja vu sliding door moments that and the simple question was that her and her husband come to an agreement that when he passes, he'll make sure he comes back to give her some sign that all's good on the other side. And I think she's got clear evidence of that. Is that a yes?
Absolutely.
Oh, we heard that. It's a big word, bigger than that word high that we had before. Anyway. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so do I deduce from that so that you can hear ghosts, hear spirits and see them, or, sort of in terms of, we're talking psychic skills 101, so let's break it down for people who don't know anything about it. So when Karen's husband connected with you, did he appear to you, or did he telepath into your brain, or did you tune into him? What happened?
Just kicked back, just relaxed, and just happened. You know?
I think it's a yes.
Yes, I think it's
Yeah.
it. Okay, all right, we'll switch back to Helen and Julie.
Obviously, the interview is not the best of the interviews. Hey, I know it's just happened to be like we're talking now, and all of a sudden it just boom, 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 boom. It was just like having a cup of tea, and you know, you might be just looking out, and all of a sudden it's almost there, and it's just
An
right there.
exercise of trust.
Yeah, exactly right. So I was just saying to Karen, I got this. I got a crossbow, bow and arrow. Why would this Pete want to have a crossbow, bow and arrow? Oh, because he wants to shoot the bloody possums that are eating his bloody flowers. So there's just little pointers. I mean, I haven't seen Pete for 28 years or something like that. We all used to be in the surf club, part of the family. But, yeah, it's just all that little. Where did that come from? Where does it come from? I mean, that's Psychic 101, isn't it? Where does it come from? That's the conversation we're having tonight, isn't it? Where does it come from? How do you know?
So Helen and Julie, you actually train people you teach people how to develop their psychic skills, is that right?
That's right.
So how do you go about it, apart from telling them not to fear and to meditate?
All right.
You can go, Jules.
All right. So basically, the whole trick is it's not a trick, but quieten your mind, and then so you would quieten that, and that's the point. You need to have a quiet mind, so you can't have chit chatter going on in your mind. You have to clear it out, get rid of any day-to-day things that are going on, and then if you're looking into something or someone, you start noticing what pops into your head. So you may get words. It could be word association. And then you would start to think about, what are you feeling, and what are those feelings? And you could just jot all this down. This is what we do, right? So, do you know something that you don't even know why you know? You just know that something's the case. You may get symbols. You may get music lyrics. You could look at something that's in the room that reminds you of a bed, for example. It could be anything, but it's not, it's picking up the subtleties that are going on in that moment when you're focusing on something. And the more you do that, the better you get, basically. And then if you've got a skill, like an everyday skill, you can use that skill. So I'm an editor, and I do ghostwriting for people. So because I have that skill, words seem to be prominent, for example. But if you're a mechanic, and you start doing this type of work, you might pick up things about, oh, your tire needs checking or anything like that. But the other side will use your skills in whatever you're skilled at, or whatever you're in, whatever you're good at, and it all comes together, and it won't be the same every time. It will be different depending on what you're looking into.
So training people really is about them, what they want out of life. I personally believe that we should be able to just get every answer for ourselves. And that's what my focus is to try and get people to understand themselves first, and what their desires are, what their intentions are for their lives. And then just what we do is we use exercises to help quieten the mind. And really, Julia knows a lot about this, is about the focusing on your breath, because the more you breathe, the less chatter you have in your head. Now, just as a funny thing, our mind goes all the time. We've always got lots of thoughts in our minds, but to quieten it, I've got I have an alter ego, and I've called her Lulu. There you are. There's a secret for you. And Lulu sometimes gets in the way of everything I want to do, because Lulu can be a bit negative. And so there are times when I just tell Lulu, time to be quiet. I'm not that polite, but it's time to be quiet. And then you just focus on that, getting into that quiet state. So then you can start feeling things and seeing things. And you can just use your awareness in everyday life. Go and sit in a shopping center, for example. And when you look at somebody, try and understand what's happening to them as they walk past you. Try and gauge their feelings. And you will find that in this crowded space, you'll pick up lots of things. It's about really opening yourself up. And opening yourself up means you have to let go of everything and just surrender to spirit. Surrender yourself to enable yourself to learn and develop your psychic skills if this is what you desire to do.
Well, let's talk about what the motivation might be for developing psychic skills, because I think we're all torn between, on the one hand, well, if you're Julie or a psychic kid, you have to deal with whoever's visiting you in the bedroom. If you haven't got them, it's more, what can we do? What is possible for the human mind? And you're making it sound more like you're practicing to tune in, to dial into a certain frequency or a station.
Yeah.
But, what is the actual benefit of tuning into different stations, and what kind of spirits or what kind of categories are there or bandwidths are there that is available for people to tune into? And this is where also the fear is, because people are saying, well, I hear voices, I might be mad, and they're inciting me to do bad stuff. And even I sometimes notice that I have negative thought patterns, which I know actually, I realized one day they're not mine.
Yeah.
And then I just tell them to go away. But,
Yep.
Before that, I actually used to identify with the thoughts that were dropping in. So when we start tuning in, and it's a bit like, with the, when we're doing remote viewing, what is the spectrum of what you can tune into, and what are the benefits or disadvantages of doing that?
Well, it's about your intention to start with. Like, I know having respect for everything and everybody is your number one. Not misusing it. So if you want to get into it, and it can get quite exciting, because you're like, yes, I'm on track. This is all going to be awesome. But you can't get excited, because they're going to throw you curveballs, basically, and just relax into it. And I guess for me, it's about helping other people, helping them, whether it's in their everyday lives, it could be on any level. But if you don't have that sensitivity for people, you probably might be able to tune in to little bits, but you probably won't have that much access. Like, you'll get to a point, but there won't be any. Basically, we go through trials. So if someone says, right, this is what I want to do, and I want to experiment with it, because that's what we do, really, it's experimental. But you need to, you won't get any better unless you have good intentions, essentially. So, and there will be trials, and then once and they'll be different for everyone, because everyone's different. Everyone's got different experiences. They may not seem like trials at the time, but that's what happens. And then if someone upstairs says, all right, they're ready to do it, then another door will open. And then it will just keep going like that until you become more spiritually aware, because anyone can be psychic, but you don't have to be spiritual to do it.
So, Julie, can I just check? So you're saying that there's a kind of hierarchy on the other side?
Yep, pretty much.
There's not just a lot of lost people who are hanging around and staying at home and not cross that and they want to talk to you, but there's also...
Well, you get that. Like, are you talking about dead people? Is that what you were talking about? Yeah, well, that's like another whole genre, if you want to So, sometimes when people pass away, they won't, either they don't know they've passed away, or they want to communicate something to someone. And sometimes they go, like, if the hundreds of ones that have come to me, sometimes I can't communicate that to who they want. I don't know that person. It's a bit weird knocking on someone's door and going, excuse me, you don't know me, but this is what the go is. The only time I've had a real personal one, when someone's father passed away, and I refused to give the message initially because I had lost contact with that person. But he hung around for 3 years of my life until I passed on that message. And it was draining. But once I did, and I put that, and I found the address, and I put the letter in, I thought, oh, I just have to do this because this is driving me nuts. He crossed over just like that. So sometimes it's about, if we're talking about people who don't want to leave, and some of them don't. Some of them are having a great time, just as they were in life, or even better. But you just got to tell them that you're not interested, basically, and you've got to be upfront, and you're in control, not no one else. And that's what I had to learn throughout my life. You're the one in control. You can get rid of them if you don't want them. They're like, if someone walked past your house and just walked into your house, like, that's not cool. You don't know that person. So it's the same thing. And so even people who have passed over also have to have that respect. There's that respect level. And you just can tell them straight, listen, I can't help you. This is, you see, and tell them what they're doing. And then most of the time they'll just leave. So
yeah, I think this is something that's actually really important to share, is that if you haven't given permission, they will hang around. But if you say you're not allowed to be in my field, then they actually technically generally have to leave, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Are there a few exceptions? Any exceptions?
Oh yeah, Patrick Swayze, King Henry VIII. I am.
What do you mean Henry VIII?
Hey, did you watch the movie?
What, did you hang around all the time after he was dead, or what?
Ghost. The movie Ghost.
Oh, in Patrick Swayze, yeah.
Oh, no, mate.
You wanted him around. That's different.
Yeah. But yes, so
Having some light fun. Yeah.
Like, subconsciously,
that's a
you can do
difficulty.
that,
You can do that. You can end up with
let's talk about my dead boyfriend.
Oh.
Yep, I had a dead boyfriend.
Wait,
well, that's what I called him anyway. Because
he was a
bit
dead
like
boyfriend, all right.
He was your boyfriend in real life?
No.
Someone who'd already passed over,
Yeah, okay.
who gravitated towards me, and we can talk about this. We experimented with the Ouija board. This is many, many years ago.
Many years ago, and we don't recommend it.
We don't recommend it. Don't even do it. You don't even need it. It's ridiculous. But the interesting thing about using tools like that is they can't tell you anything about your future. All they can do is listen. They might listen to your phone conversations and then communicate that on the board. Yep, that's what happens. So it's nothing special. They can't tell you any more about anything. They can't, unless if you go to a medium and have a reading, they'll be able to tell you a lot more than what gets attracted to those boards. But we had this fellow, and he came on and claiming to be my spirit guide. Yep, that happened. Which I knew who wasn't, because I knew who my spirit guide was, but he wouldn't leave. And then I'd maybe go out to the shops and get some milk, and I look behind and he's looking at me like, well, and I'm like, get in the car, like, like having weird things like that happen. So it was a good lesson. The good thing is,
how did you get rid of him?
I not intentionally, actually, but
Found my girlfriend.
he found another girlfriend. That's exactly what happened. It's like, I'm not getting anywhere with this one.
In his advances.
Yeah.
But I laugh about that. But certainly in other cultures, they do often say that when girls and boys are sort of going into puberty, and up to 21, that there are sort of spirits that are attracted to them because of the essence. So there's, they're.
And I would have been about 21 at that stage, or maybe even 18 or something.
Yeah, I think it was a bit younger than that. But
maybe.
yeah, so really, when you think about if we're just talking about we'll call them earthbounds.
Yeah.
It's just that they just haven't crossed the void, and some of them are just lost, and some of them are just really nice people, just don't know where they're at. Even if they're not nice people, and there are a lot of them that are not nice, and they're fearful to cross over because of what might happen to them, so they're fearful of that.
Like attracts like too.
Exactly.
Also.
Exactly.
What was that?
Like attracts
Attracts
like.
like.
So
What's
we've
the
been
like attract?
so
Sorry.
you attract people who are similar
like
to
attracts
you,
like,
to your essence. So
Mm.
our experiences have been pretty good, really, because we've got good intentions. But if you're more on the negative side, you will draw the same type of energy to you. So
And that's where the mental issues would start coming in. And so you have to be strong, though, to once they attach themselves to your aura, you have to be quite strong, and your intention has to be very clear that you don't want them around anymore, because they just because you say go away, they won't necessarily go away.
So it's like the Dementors in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
but
that's it's not all bad news, because most of them are just lost people, and all we have to do, and we've done a fair bit of rescue work just to help them move on.
It's not great work.
It's
just
not
letting
it's
everyone
not
know.
Well,
it's not
hold
great
on. So
work.
if anybody's listening and they've got somebody who's disruptive in their home, or sort of it's time for them to move, can they just give you a call and you'll go into their house and help them get rid of them?
We'll probably direct you to someone else.
Yeah, we won't do it.
It's not attractive work.
We don't do it anymore.
Why is that?
It's hard work.
It's hard work.
Yeah,
and
it's really draining.
And it's just not something, because what I have found in my experience, most of it is mental. And people have to understand that if they're not in the right frame of mind, they're going to hear voices within themselves. Truly, ghost hauntings and that aren't very frequent. Mostly it's people's minds allowing themselves to get in such a depressive state that they don't know, and then they start hearing voices, and or they'll feel things and see things, and things will touch them. They have to be able to help themselves, and unfortunately, in the end, if it's a mental issue, it's something they have to fix themselves. No one else can actually help them. That's a difficulty, because they've allowed this entity to encroach into their
or it may
aura.
not be an entity. It could be their own creation.
It could be their own creation.
Yeah,
It could
so
be
their own creation, like an astral.
personalities, and it's. I'm not putting anyone down that has these feelings or that. It's not that. It's just having an understanding about who they are, and they have to become more focused in their desires, and got to fill their life with laughter. They've got to fill their life with love. They've just got to get rid of the negative. Being unhappy only creates more fear. And so we just really need to become happy and just smiling at people. Really, it's about love, and it's about laughter. And when you laugh, laughter is what's going to create a world of good for you. So it's about, if you're feeling bad, just laugh it off, because really, we get into our head and all these things, and we have conversations with ourselves. We all do it. We all have conversations with ourselves. And really, it doesn't matter what happens. It's an experience. And if we look at that as an experience and say, it's not part of my life anymore, that's how we can clear the negativity out of our spiritual healing anyway, and which is my loves. It's about, really, we can clear the negative energy. And that can be done relatively easy. The issue is, of course, if you call them back. and then they'll come back again because you've invited them back. So really, if you don't want them around, you have to be really strong about it, because you can get spiritual healing time and time again, but if you keep calling them back, there's no purpose to it. So it's just understanding. It's just an understanding of what healing is about. And the best person to heal is yourself. You heal thyself, because that is the strength of a person. It's being able to shake off that negative energy. And and shaking is what I'm going to say to you, because it's a bit of fun. You can just shake yourself all over, and that can clear your negative energy. Simple.
So what I'm hearing from you, Helen, is that if you're wanting to develop any of your psychic skills, be it telepathy or communicating with, what did you call them, earthbounds or spirit guides, or if you're wanting to do spiritual healing, the first thing you really have to do is to get to know your mind and understand your mental field
that
projections.
healing can help, because it'll help focus, right? So receiving healing just brings it to a focus. And then once they understand, they can feel better after the healing, because that's what healing does. It makes you feel better. And then it's up to you to continue that healing within yourself and becoming more focused in what your good intentions are for yourself. It is about having that intention of having good, wholesome life without being over the top with anything. Balance is what it's all about, having balance. And balance means not this extremes of anger or extremes of happiness. I'm not, because really it comes back to walking the path of balance. There are times when we're going to be happy. There are times when we're going to be sad. And, we all have those moments. We all get angry. And one of the things I've learned about anger is it's not good for you. Makes you sick. Makes you sick. Having so much anger in you just makes you sick. So it's really being able to move along with that. I mean, none of us are perfect. We all get angry, but it's how you deal with it afterwards. You can have your moment of anger, but you have to let it go, because it's not going to help you. It's like road rage, isn't it? Road rage can create such havoc. Well, I think there was something on TV the other week where someone got so angry they bashed up all these different cars everywhere. Why are you so angry? And that's the question you have to ask yourself. Why do you get so angry? Why is this world so angry? So what is happening to our environment that everything is about anger rather than about love? And that to me is, and I'm not talking about love, I'm talking about compassionate love here. It's that sort of understanding of other people, where they're at and how they're going, what actions they've taken. Doesn't make what their actions right. It just means you understand that a little bit of yourself. So if someone does something to you, it's understanding that and looking at it from a different perspective, perhaps. But if someone hurts you, then that's what you have to look at and shake off and look to see it as not whatever anybody else does. It's not really your business. No matter what they do to you, it's their problem, their journey. Yeah, you're going to suffer some consequence out of it, but that's part of your journey as well. And if we understand that we're here on this earth plane to learn different lessons, to take the negative out of our beings, and to become so that we become more spiritual. If we learn to do that, accept our challenges, accept where it's heading, and then just have an understanding of that. So, and then we can just move on.
Okay, so Helen, thank you very much. For our radio listeners, we're talking to Dr. Julie Rees and Reverend Helen Rees. Hello to our Facebook listeners, Kim and Elizabeth Inter-Dryer-Carr. Lovely to have you on us. And we're just switching back to Dr. Julie Rees and Reverend Helen Rees, who are talking to us about Psychic Skills 101. So far we've touched on being able to communicate and interact and negotiate with earthbound spirits. We've talked a bit about spiritual healing and what to do to stay in balance and make sure that your thoughts and your thought projections don't take you over and make you slightly crazy. But I'd just like to switch because the two of you train people in developing their psychic skills. And I hear that you have Tuesday night groups and that there are a lot of games and fun involved. So what kind of games can people play? You know, if like you know, they have psychic kids and, you know, you're saying you're the grandmother and you're trying to train up the kids now, what kind of games would you be recommending families to be playing, to be training up their skills?
That's a big one, isn't it?
That's a big one. Depending on
The grandmother has to be a kid.
The grandma has to be a kid.
Depends on what their main skill is. So we all know, you know, you got your seeing, your hearing, your feeling, smelling, tasting, and knowing. So it depends on where your strengths would lie. And I think in the exercises we do on Tuesday night is sort of tap into all our own strengths, and some of them will be weaker than others. So for me personally, hearing and seeing and knowing are the and feeling, not so much smelling and tasting, but all the other ones, that's where I gravitate towards. And I think when we do exercises, so we'll do psychometry, which is quite common, and most people would know what psychometry is, where you pick an object and sit there and hold it in your hand, and then basically what we do in the Tuesday nights is start writing what we're picking up. So there's a record of it, and then we'd go around the group and then tell that. Sometimes we use cards, so whether it's tarot cards or just some other playing type card, and do the same thing, but not with the tarot cards. It's not in a traditional sense where the Four of Wands might mean a wedding or a gathering of some kind, but looking more abstractly, I guess, rather than if you were trained to read the cards in that way. So looking at the symbols, how it's feeling to you, things like that. And then we sort of do a bit of psychic detective work as one of the exercises. And we basically take real cases, solve ones mostly, and train up that way. So because we've got the information, we know we can confirm it. We do experiment with more current cases, but we can't confirm it because it hasn't been solved yet. So that's where we go on that.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting. Is that more like remote viewing, where you might sort of tune into a location, or a name of a missing person?
Exactly.
Jeff's pretty good at the location.
Yeah.
So Jeff can pick the locations pretty much spot on.
You're telling everybody in the world now.
Yeah.
Let the cat out of the bag.
Jeff's gonna get some phone calls. Yeah. So we'll do things like that, but not be so rigid and going, this is sort of direct everyone where they're going, but also allow that freedom to also just pick up whatever that situation is. So not necessarily location, but what might have happened to those people, and
victim or perpetrator?
Yeah, victim, perpetrator.
Abductions.
We do missing people. Yeah.
So, but it's not just the psychic stuff that we're doing. We're also tuning into the trying to tune in to the higher realms for people that have passed over, so that we can see what information we can get direct. Mediumship is really, so psychic is more about everyday life, you know, being
Sixth
able
sense,
to
like just
picking up
picking up
energies.
things, picking up energy.
Right.
Yeah, mediumship is more about tuning into a loved one who's gone, or even to someone higher. But it's really about
and it's a different feeling.
it's a different feeling.
Mediumship's
altogether.
more lighter, more
subtle,
more inspirational, more uplifting, where psychic work is more dense, more intense work. And that's really the difference. So love and light and mediumship, psychic, not so much. There is love and light in the psychic world as well, but you also get both the negative and the positive sort of together and separately.
And do you get a lot of people asking you about the future, whether they're going to get married and what their job's going to be? And
well, that's what everyone wants to know.
Everybody wants to know that, but it's not something that I do personally.
What about you, Julie?
I like to experiment with that because I definitely am interested. My first reading that I briefly spoke about earlier, so I was 16 and she's pretty much mapped out even till now. So it was like 2143. So things are still happening in that reading that I got at that time, which is
But she was a medium.
But she was a medium. She definitely wasn't psychic. So because of that, that has influenced me. So I do like to experiment with, what is the future? Because people want to know. People want to know. You want to feel secure. You want to know that everything's going to be okay. So I will look at that as well. So I will do both, but more definitely interested in, that sort of mapping, so to speak. So I do like that aspect.
People like to have a direction in life, and sometimes they get lost. They feel lost, but they make too much of it because everything is there, and it's really about if you need direction,
look at the patterns in your life.
What's happened to you in the past? How does what is it that you really want? And if you don't know what you want, start looking at different things in your life
and breaking them down, breaking everything down, a bit like research. You have to break every aspect of your life down. If you want to know something about a certain particular area, you start breaking it down. Why did that happen? What did I do to do that? What did the other person do? What were the influences around that situation? And you start picking at it, start pulling a bit out by bit, you'll start seeing patterns. And the things that you haven't dealt with will come back around in a different form that maybe same thing, different story, but same situation. You start breaking it down and then you can really get into your nitty-gritty. So I like using the psychic in my own life because I can tune into that. So that aspect's really exciting for me. So if I have a problem, I go, right, okay, I need to break this down. I need to think about what I have. Why am I creating this? Because we are our own creators of our own life. And we have to take responsibility for that as well, which is really important. So the more you take that on board, the better your life will be because more opportunities will come. Life will become easier. And it's a constant journey and you keep writing yourself as you go. So you start using, that's how psychic is good.
Yeah.
Using it in your own everyday life and
that's what's more important.
You being good, which means other people around you are going to be good because you're good and you spread the love.
It's about you using the psychic aspect for yourself. You understanding your gut feeling.
Yeah.
If you understand, you get a gut feeling about something. Go with that. Trust yourself, because what a lot of people do is that they hum and ha. What they have to do is just trust. It doesn't matter if they make a mistake. That
and
happens.
Keep going. That's
you
the
keep
trick.
going, and then you've learned from that. You've learned that lesson, and then you can just move forward. So you have to go with how you're feeling and just trust that aspect of you. It's really about understanding yourself totally. See, it's about loving yourself, actually.
Yeah, and I guess learning when you're thinking about options for a future and you're making a decision, we have the gut feeling, we have the idea of what we should do in a certain circumstance based on what we've read or been taught or what we've seen other people do. Sometimes we have feelings that we can't explain. So I guess this learning to trust your intuition is quite a big part of the
It's
journey.
a big step. It's about personally developing the psychic for yourself. Not for anybody else. It's about developing your own ability for you. And then everything else falls into place, depending on what you want, depending on what sort of career you want. Like, for example, if you want to become an artist like Julie became an artist, like if that's what you want to do, you just do it. It doesn't matter about the money either, because everybody worries about how much money can I earn. In the end, money isn't important. It gives us clothes. It gives us money we get money to feed ourselves, dress ourselves, enjoy our life a little bit, maybe travel. But in the end, if you're not doing what your heart desire is, money means nothing, and you only feel unhappy. So it's about doing what you truly love to do, and loving yourself and understanding yourself is number one priority. If you love yourself, there's going to be lots of people loving you. So that's what it's about.
That's a pretty big ask. So Jeff, when did you learn to trust your intuition? How old were you? I mean, I'm talking to a surfer dude, so probably 15 or something.
Me?
Yeah, you're the man. I don't know. Is it easier for men to trust themselves, or is it harder for men to trust themselves?
Depends on your personality, I guess,
think
doesn't
so.
it?
I don't think
No, I think.
If I put it like that, he has an answer.
Coming back to a champion's made or a champion's born, and I think there's a combination of both that I've come to learn. Firstly, when I was a child, I used to have people standing in the door frame looking at me, and then there was times there I felt there was crocodiles around my bed, and there's times there when Julie was talking about it, and I thought, oh yeah, I used to see them coming there, and I used to get the blankets to put over my head.
Yeah.
And you make sure if your arm went over the side of the bed, you think, oh, crocodile, put it back in, Little did I realise that when I was 28, things happened which revealed that what's that, 4 sevens of 28. So there's 4 sets of 7 years, and there was a 28 when the veil was actually lifted, and I had really learnt what it was like to be a human for those first 28 years, and then all of a sudden the journey started. And what I found out was that spectre, which was standing at the door, was actually me in the future, looking back at my younger self. Yeah. In conjunction with the crocodiles, I found out that on the inner journeys, when I decided to follow some of the medicine wheel concepts of American medicine, American Native Americans, but also here in Australia with the Aborigines, every individual member of the tribe has an animal, and then the tribe has an animal. So the crocodile figures quite strongly here in Australian culture. So what actually happened was when I was a youngster and but scared of crocodiles, when I was 28, when I did my internal traveling, I actually met the crocodile. So I wasn't fearful of the crocodile. And I actually I commanded the crocodile to reveal what I had to share. And the crocodile said, I've come to teach you patience, not to reveal everything at once, and put whatever food you got in the bank. Yeah. And of course, maintaining your energy was a really strong part of the crocodile, because they sit there and sunbake and draw the energy into their skin, and they conserve it. So when you start looking at Australians when they go down the beach and roll out the towel, to me they're all bloody crocodiles. But I since learned from about 28, a lot of things unveiled itself that it was my journey. It was not a journey that everybody was destined to walk. It was an internal journey, and I certainly learnt that all you have to do is ask, and it doesn't have to be verbal. You can do it by thought. I also found that if you seek something, it will manifest it. So if you seek a car park, you'll get your car park. What's that one? Knocking the door open. Yeah, so those three principles, I learned how you can use them, and then I found that man had dominion over all things. So there's a lot that we can do. I think the most important thing for all of us individually is to turn off mainstream TV news and current affairs shows, and get out and about like we were when we were kids, and come home when it gets dark, kids, when tea's on the table, So that type of lifestyle that we had was one of freedom, and we're sitting in the back of utes without any seatbelts, and we rode bicycles without crash helmets, and we drank water out of a tap, and we went down in the mud, and we had mud fights, and it was really wholesome bloody living, and everybody knew everybody. So I'm very grateful for that aspect, and it really helped me to walk my path. And I think in my path was actually joining the Cubs and the Scouts, and so you learned how to become self-reliant. You got taught by adults who didn't need a blue card, yellow card, gold card, red card, whatever card they're going to throw out these days. And so we actually built communities, and our communities built scout dens, we built football clubs. We didn't need all the stuff that's currently out there in play. We actually learned how to become self-reliant, and we trusted our instincts. And so when you're a cub and you're knocking on the door and asking for a bob for job, and you're washing cars for 20 cents, that was a lot of money, You're collecting bottles or bottle drives. I mean, these are all things that in a period of time, as a young boy, you're learning. It somehow or another it comes intuitively, instinctively. The only thing that can pull you down is your environment. So I come back to the point of a champion's made or champion's born. I think it's a combination of both, because the circumstances of your family and your relations and those people around you, they can either uplift you or they can pull you down. And it's something that you need to be aware of those people around you who can actually inspire you, and that's most important.
Thank you, Jeff. And Julie, you're actually you've got a PhD. What's that PhD in? You're Dr. Julie Rees. What have you specialized
in fine art, and basically it's about, of all things, desire and online dating, because everyone needs love and wants love. So, and that's an area that's pretty evident, that people need to feel connected and want to be connected to people. So it sounds a very strange thing to research, but at the end of the day, for me, it was about helping people, because throughout all my psychic reading life, most people want to know about their love life. And that's, I've had a lot of people gravitate. Like, I started doing readings when I was 18, so sort of professionally at that time. That's when I crossed the threshold. And I realized I started using tarot cards initially. So I learned when I was 13 how to read tarot cards. And then I realized at 18 I didn't need the tarot cards anymore. I just threw them away. Still have them, but I don't need them. But yeah, online dating. So people need love. And so that was part of the motivation, like the communication part, just people communicating. Because I think there's a lack of it, and a lot of people don't know how to express their feelings all the time. So,
and I'll agree with you on that, Julie. And I think especially now with COVID and not being able to fly and meet your loved ones, I think in some way it actually ties back to what you and Helen are specializing in. Your beginning message is that we're all connected, and certainly for me the journey was when I got over the idea that my grandparents might be seeing what I was up to in the bathroom or in the bedroom. Once I sort of let that one go, yes. Once I let that go, it was more, well, actually, I have great grandparents, so for me, it was actually more of a source of support. And I hadn't actually spent much of my time with my grandmother because she lived in Germany, whereas I grew up in Hong Kong and I was in England and in China, so I really didn't get to see her too much. But we always had a bond, even though we didn't see each other a lot. So even when she crossed over, I was able to tune into her, and I find when I work with clients, a lot of them, their spirit guide, they always know that if I ask them the question, have you ever felt protected, like something should have happened to you, but for some reason you were safe? They usually say yes, and then well, who would you consider that to be? It would either be a spirit guide or it would be a grandparent. So grandparents play this really wonderful role of even when they're in spirit, is keeping an eye on us. And I think
absolutely,
certainly tying back to everybody wants love, everybody wants to feel connected. What I've learned, one of the reasons I've brought you on is because once I realized I could just tune into my grandmother and my granddad, and he would let me know when he didn't like the way we were talking about him. He'd say, what about this and this and this that I did? Would you like to recognize that too?
Yeah.
But it was with my grandparents. So I think I'd taken my kids on a camping trip, and it was last minute because my partner was meant to be taking them, but he couldn't for work. So I packed the two girls who were like still primary school and the dog into the camper van for a week, and we just drove off. And I really wasn't very organized. I grew up in Hong Kong. I used to stay in hotels and country clubs. So, we were driving along, and I was the only driver, and I think I was running out of petrol, and it was my birthday, and I was going, okay. And I was looking for the next camping place, and I really didn't know where it was. And I was worried about running out of petrol with two young girls and a dog and no camping place and no fuel. And it was just the voice came and then says, don't worry, we won't let that happen to you on your birthday. And I just knew it was my grandparents. So yeah. And one of my affirmations is I'm always divinely guided, supported, and provided for. So that certainly is a learning that I want to share with you, or an encouragement is, apart from playing around with ghosts, but connecting to the spirit realm that is supporting us, even though they're invisible.
That's
absolutely
right. That's right. It's knowing that whoever's passed over that you love, they're there. You can talk to them. You can bring them into your life. They're there to protect you and help you, and just help guide you. They may not be your spirit guides, but certainly they're there, and you can always know that they're always there to support you. And now, obviously, once we cross over, you learn to do different things. So for a time, your loved ones may not come back to you straight away because they're busy resting, busy understanding more of what they have to do in that realm. Excuse me. But it's just knowing that they're there is all the comfort you need. We're not talking about earthbounds now. We're talking about loved ones who have crossed over and who love you. And if you remember that they're there to help you at any time, it's a mind-blowing experience when you know that your grandparents are there helping you. Yeah. And to know that they're that they talk to you, and you can feel that loving connection. You know, you can feel it. And they will, not just your grandparents, can be anyone, can be a friend. So it's really about who and what you are, and if you just trust that and know that, you know, often our parents are alive with us anyway, but if it's your grandparents, they're always there. You know, your aunties, your uncles, you all, we come from a soul family, and that soul family continues always. We are eternal. We are eternal beings. Here we are on earth living a life to understand more who we are, how to take the negative out of our beings and become more spiritually evolved. That's what we do. That's what our purpose is here on earth. Now, we were given free will. So free will means that
Responsibility.
that's right. And you can go off on a tangent that you didn't even think you were going to go. But then sometimes you have to bring that back and then just understand yourself more. You know, sometimes we do silly things. Sometimes we do great things when we deviate, you know, and in the end, it doesn't matter because we're here just to learn lessons.
Thank you for that. It's beautiful. We had Elizabeth share that her nana comes to all her dental appointments and more. So
Yeah. And it's lovely. It's lovely to have that, you know, just knowing that they're there, you know. So, and, you know, you might go to a medium to get a reading and they'll bring through your
You can just talk to them yourself.
You can talk to them yourself. You just got to trust that they're there.
I guess if you've never done it before, maybe, you know, the first time is talk, you know.
And that's right. You go to a medium to help you get there to you know, to do that. So. Yeah.
And then after that, you know that they're there and they're listening.
Free phone call, mate.
Free phone call, absolutely.
I mean, just briefly on that, if you just start speaking to whoever you want to communicate with and just start having a conversation, you just listen to where that conversation's going in your head, because 9 times out of 10 it is them, and you just think you're having this inner dialogue thing happening, but really it's them upstairs. So
it's a bit like conversations with God, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's conversations with God.
Right,
Well, it's called having a boardroom meeting, isn't it?
yeah, exactly right.
Having a boardroom meeting.
That's right.
Right. So, Julie and Helen, if people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way?
Oh, they can
Email for me.
Email for me or phone call. My phone number's out there. Yeah.
And do you do remote sessions as well? So for our listeners in the UK or the US or Europe?
Yeah.
Or New Zealand?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. Okay.
We do a lot of Zoom stuff. So.
Yeah, thank God for Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, StreamYard's quite good as well, isn't it? So. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Julie and Helen.
Oh, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Coming and
Lovely.
joining us and telling us all about your experiences and psychic skills 101. Sounds pretty awesome. And dear listeners, thank you for joining us. Next week we will have Dominique Oyston joining us. She used to be an opera singer and traveled around the whole world. And now she is helping people open up their throat chakras and find their own inner goddess voice. So that is very promising. Great. So catch us.
That reminded me of that movie Heart and Soul. Do you remember that movie, Heart and Soul? The 4 people who passed over, but the green bus came years and years later before they come and picked them up. And the guy driving the bus, haven't you been told that you've got to settle these things with family members before you can pass on? Well, no, you never come and collected us. Oh, okay. I'll come and collect you one at a time. So Robert Downey Jr. became the medium. And there's this guy, Harold, I think, big tall guy, and he always wanted to be an opera singer. Oh. Yeah, so he gets Robert Downey Jr. to go out in front of the audience in front of the big bopper, wasn't they? The big Negro guy playing the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so he sang Star Spangled Banner, and it was in a baritone voice. It was absolutely bloody awesome. You know, like it was really, really well done, actually, to be perfectly honest with you. Heart and soul opera singer, and that's why I brought it up, because you brought up the lady. You know?
That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. All
Heart and
those
soul.
little synchronicities, yeah.
Heart and soul.
Yeah, yeah. Someone else made a comment just before we jump off. Oh, there you go. Miss Kim Healy. Thank you very much. Okay. If we don't see you, it's a Merry Christmas to you too.
Merry
Oh,
Christmas.
we'll
Merry
see each other,
Christmas.
don't
Merry
worry about
Christmas.
that.
Have a lovely time.
I just want to throw that in there. It's 4 weeks of Christmas from tomorrow.
We've got our Christmas tree up.
So this time when Jesus comes to visit, you won't tell him to go away.
No.
Jesus visits me all the
Jesus
time now.
visits-
It's a permanent fixture in my life.
Does he just sort of goes past Helen's door straight to yours?
Hey, I've got Rob staying with me at the moment, and it's been about 6 months now, and 3 kookaburras turned up on the balcony. I haven't seen them for 6 months. I said to Rob, I think that's the 12 nights, 12 days of Christmas.
Yep.
And True Love said to me, 3 kookaburras. What does that mean?
I don't know.
What's 3 kookaburras in the 12 nights? of
Time to
Christmas?
laugh.
Yeah, time to laugh, all right.
Time to laugh. That's it.
You're going to get laughter in your life. That's what that
That's it.
means.
Oh, they come for a bloody feed, mate.
Yeah.
And that as
well,
well.
that too. They have to
Yeah.
sustain themselves.
Anyway, that's nature coming in and saying hi. How you going after all
Yeah.
that time?
It's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
Okay.
have fun.
It's been a blessing. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening. And we'll catch you on the loop.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.